Welcome everyone, this is Christopher with InMotion Hosting. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can generate a WordPress theme from one single plain text file. So first of all, what are we looking at here? Well, this is a GitHub page with a README file. A README file is pretty common on GitHub. Just about every program that is hosted there has a README file, which it will generate a page for, and you can read about the program. The thing that's different about this README file is that it contains the complete source code for a whole discrete program. In this case, the program is just a very simple, bare-bones WordPress theme. And as you probably already know, a WordPress theme basically consists of a few different files. At very least, a CSS file that contains the basic information about the theme and some styles, and at least an index file, which is coded in PHP, a single post template, and a single page template. These are just the very basics of any WordPress theme, and these can be refactored and coded in a variety of different ways, but this is just for demonstration purposes. So what we're going to do here is create this theme from the README file. Now, in order to do this, I'll just mention this is for people who use Emacs, org mode, which is a mode in Emacs that's going to wrangle all this code together. And what's very helpful is PHP mode to be able to properly parse the PHP source code blocks. So at the moment, if we look at this local WordPress site I have hosted, there's nothing there because the theme I have selected is the one we're going to be generating. And as you see in the theme folder here on the bottom left, there are no theme files there yet. So basically, what we have here in our README file is, like I said, just a plain text document which has some information about what we're doing, which you can read more about on the GitHub page. And it has the code for all of our theme files. So we're not actually editing individual files, we're editing one file that has source code blocks. So you see here, this is our boilerplate style sheet. You can collapse these. They're all just basically plain text objects. But what's different here is that in org mode, you can put these property drawers on a heading in your document. And what I have here is this directive header args, which tells the org-babel program to tangle any source code blocks under this heading and put them into a file called style.css. So if we close this heading, open up the next one, you'll see this is the code for our index file. It's in a PHP source code block. And if I open up the properties drawer, you see it's going to tangle this to a file called index.php. And it's the same for our other PHP files in this theme. And as you can see here, what we're going to do is very basically open up our README file, assuming you've already installed Emacs and you're using it. You open up the README file and you'll type this key command, Control-C, Control-V, Control-T. And you might be thinking, well, that's a long, difficult to remember key command. I don't want to have to type that every time. But the good thing about Emacs is that you can just rebind that key to any other key on your keyboard and make it more simpler. But basically what that key command does is it just runs a function called org-babel tangle, which will tangle all of the source code blocks and put them into individual files. And bear in mind, you can have this arranged any way you want. You can have all the source code blocks in your file tangled to a single file, like a config file or virtually any kind of program. Org-babel can accept source code blocks in virtually any language that you might be using. So we'll go ahead and tangle it now. I'll do Control-C, Control-V, Control-T. And you'll see a few things just happened. In the mini buffer here in Emacs, you'll see it says tangled 4 code blocks from readme.org. So that was sort of a success message. And you actually see that the theme files popped into our theme folder here. So now when I reload WordPress, You'll see here's our very basic bare bones theme. You see it's loaded the index file, which just shows us what posts we have. This is the single post template. You see it has the date the post was published, and it has a standard WordPress sample page. And you see how powerful this can be, because if you, let's say you want to just, every time you start a new theme, you want to always have the same code that you always use, or you want it to be reproducible, all you have to do is say download your README file, which you saved or hosted anywhere you want. I put this on GitHub so it can be visible to any viewers of the video. But you can have your README file hosted anywhere you want. You could even just have it on your hard drive and copy it into other folders and reproduce your theme templates in any working directory. So if I actually delete these theme files and we reload WordPress, you see it's gone. And then if I retangle it, you see it all comes back just the way it was. And then if you wanted to edit any of these, it is kind of awkward to be doing a lot of editing inside code blocks. You can actually do a command Control-C and a single quote, and that will open up your code in its own window, basically. So it's the same as working from a individual file. And then when you're done doing your editing, you can just Control-C, single quote again, and you come back out into the main document, the README file. So this is basically a completely different way of doing any kind of coding. Basically, instead of having source code with comments broken up in between it, you basically have the opposite. You have something that is a written document that has code nested within it. So for documentation purposes, or for knowing what your program consists of, this could be a completely different way of coding, which is in a way sort of self-documenting, but it's a completely different style and it has its own benefits and trade-offs. It could be particularly good if you're learning a new language and you could use your document as sort of a notebook, which has your code samples and some description about what they're doing. So you can use this in a variety of different ways, but this is just a demonstration of how you can use it to build a reproducible template for a WordPress theme, which you can repeat over and over again or load up on different workstations.
Check out our InMotion Hosting Support Center for help with your website. We provide thousands of step-by-step guides, videos, and much more to lead you towards making your online project a successful one. You can find us at www.inmotionhosting.com/support.